They didn't really go into the poor neighborhoods where people had been bombed. Did you see one media actually go into the bombed areas and talk to people who had lost a family or lost everything they had in the bombings?
The transport planes.
They focused totally on the invasion as a tactical event. Was it effective? Did it work well? Are we losing many American lives?
While another unit moved in by helicopter.
15 American servicemen have died in the combat today. Some of it
But not all the news is good. American casualties are now put at 15 dead and more than 100.
Also announced that one American civilian has been killed. That would make a total of 16
Panama
Americans.
fighting is a school teacher, apparently hit by stray gunfire. Gertrude Candy Halen from Dixon, Illinois, is the 20th American to die in the fight.
They focused with utter ethnocentrism only on American lives. The only life that was precious, the only life that one could report on, the only life that one could consider as a serious loss was an American life.
Tonight, as we end this program, we hear from President Bush on the high price these young men paid, and we say goodbye to them.
Every human life is precious. And yet I have to answer, yes, it has been worth it.
Valtauksen jälkeisinä kuukausina panamalaiset saivat järkytyksekseen tietää joukkohaudoista, joihin satoja, kenties tuhansia ruumiita oli kuopattu kaikessa kiireessä.
There was a report of what some were calling a mass grave, which I think is a term that is imprecise.
No, I didn't say we had any mass burials. There was one case of some number, but I cannot quote to you that number.
To date, there have been 15 mass graves that have been identified throughout Panama. The United States military was directly responsible for the killings of the men, women, and children that are in these mass graves and for their burial. These mass graves exist throughout Panama, and some are believed to be on U.S. military bases, which creates a difficulty in terms of access to these mass graves.
Entre esos cadáveres encontramos muchachos jóvenes, sea jóvenes de 15 años, 16, 18, ancianos de 60, 70 años. Encontramos personas matadas, muertas, con un balazo en la cabeza, atrás. Personas muertas amarradas, con las manos amarradas adelante y amarradas atrás.
Vaikka Pentagon väittää, että vain 516 panamalaista sai surmansa valtauksen aikana, se kuitenkin myöntää, että yli 75% kuolleista oli siviilejä. Uhrien omaiset vaativat yhä perinpohjaista selvitystä kadonneista ja kuolleista.
Who has the right to determine how many people should be killed in an invasion? I think if one person got killed in an invasion that is illegal, that it violates all principle of human rights, the number of people, the quantity, the figures, if it's 10,000 or if it's one, is irrelevant. The issue that innocent people were killed. A lot of people die. Too many people die.
Vaikka amerikkalaiset tiedotusvälineet loivat kuvan, että Yhdysvalloissa kansalaiset kannattivat valtausta, se sai osakseen ankaraa kansainvälistä vastustusta.
If you look at any document in international law, any of numerous treaties, it's clear that this invasion was illegal. It's not debatable.
The Panama invasion violates the UN Charter and the OAS Charter, which have specific prohibitions against invasions of a sovereign country and invasions of the territorial integrity of other countries. These prohibitions are very strict and clear under international law. The United States' actions in violation of human rights also violates the Geneva Conventions, which protect civilians from indiscriminate acts of violence as had occurred against civilian victims in Panama.
The four biggest, most important papers in this country all endorsed the rightness of the Panama invasion. That's the Washington Post, the Los Angeles Times, strong endorsement, the New York Times, and the Wall Street Journal. Every one of them. Now, a little body known as the United Nations had a vote about this. On December 29th, they voted by an overwhelming majority to condemn the invasion as, in their words, a flagrant violation of international law. So I was interested to see that night on the NBC Nightly News with that great newscaster Deborah Norville, absolutely no mention whatsoever of this vote. Turning to CBS, the bastion of responsible broadcasting, I found a full 10 seconds lavished on that story.
At the United Nations today, the General Assembly adopted a resolution deploring the U.S. invasion of Panama as a, quote, flagrant violation of international law. The vote 75-20 with 40 abstentions.
The media was so cooperative with the government because the media are owned by the same interests that are being defended in Central America by that government policy. The media are not close to corporate America. They're not favorable to corporate America. They are corporate America. They're an integral part of corporate America.
We are a plutocracy. We ought to face it. A country in which wealth controls. It may be true of all countries, more or less, but it's uniquely true of ours because of our materialism and the concentration of wealth here. Even our democratic processes are hardly that because money dominates politics, and we know it. And through politics, it dominates government, and it dominates the media. We really need desperately to find new ways to hear independent voices and points of view. It's the only way we're going to find the truth.
Totuus Panaman valtauksesta on yhä salattu amerikkalaisten enemmistöltä. Ne taas, jotka ovat tutkineet virallisia asiakirjoja, ovat havainneet ristiriitaisuuksia ja tulleet hämmentäviin johtopäätöksiin.
I have studied everything that the president has said as to reasons why he ordered the invasion. And none of those things singly or collectively makes any legal, moral, or constitutional sense.
One of the reasons for the invasion was to take the wimp image off President George Bush. He had had the what now seems to be the necessary blooding of a United States president to show his forcefulness and his machismo. This was a chance for the military to show what it could do.
If they kill an American Marine, that's real bad. And if they threaten and brutalize the wife of an American citizen, sexually threatening the lieutenant's wife while kicking him in the groin over and over again, this president is going to do something about it.
When he would say that the loss of American life was the last straw, sure, there must be something we could have done. Certainly there must have been papers we could have filed. We could have gone to the World Court. We could have gone to the United Nations or maybe the organizations of American states. But invade a country because of this? It's absolutely ridiculous.
The excuse that the invasion was to protect American lives is the one that's always given. The fact is there are 35,000 American citizens there, and none of them were in any danger. I was there 3 weeks before the invasion. There's simply no evidence, and I don't think the administration has ever bothered to even give any evidence to that statement.
The goals of the United States have been to safeguard the lives of Americans, to defend democracy in Panama.
Then President Bush said we had to go to restore democracy in Panama. How in the world do you restore that which has never existed? Panama has never been a democracy since we created Panama for our own purposes in 1903. And all we did was go down to restore American control and dominance in Panama.
Panaman uutta hallitusta alkoivat johtaa Yhdysvaltain tukemat ehdokkaat Endara, Calderon ja Ford. Tunteja ennen valtausta heidät kuljetettiin amerikkalaiseen tukikohtaan, missä he vannoivat virkavalansa. Uusi hallitus on saanut hyvin vähän kannatusta osakseen panamalaisten keskuudessa. Hallituksen vastustajat järjestävät mielenosoituksia säännöllisesti ja poliisin piireistä on tehty lukuisia sotilasvallankaappausyrityksiä. Yhdysvaltain joukot ovat usein olleet toimintavalmiudessa levottomuuksien vuoksi.
Every time there's a crisis, the U.S. military takes over. They give orders, they subordinate that military because they don't trust that military force. The conflict is still there. The oligarchy knows that if the United States were not there, they could not rule this country.
Presidentti Endara on kuitenkin vähätellyt Yhdysvaltain tekemän valtauksen merkitystä.
I think we are very normalized now. We practically have no occupation at all. Practically, you don't see them in the streets. I don't see them in Panama. However, there are a few here and there, but it's not really an occupation.
Of course, he's not going to say that that Panama is occupied. In fact, he might not even call it an invasion. Cousin is kind that were killed or massacred. He lives in the nicer area, in the oligarchical area. And, you know, his interest was protected. He's not running Panama. He's a puppet of the U.S. government. The U.S. government is running Panama. They're running all of the ministries in Panama. He's only abiding by what he's told to do.
Presidentti Bushin mukaan yksi valtauksen tavoitteista oli syrjäyttää Noriega, jotta huumevirta Yhdysvaltoihin olisi saatu tukituksi. Virallisten tilastojen mukaan Yhdysvaltoihin salakuljetetun kokainin määrä kuitenkin saattoi jopa kaksinkertaistua kahtena valtauksen jälkeisenä vuonna. On myös olemassa runsaasti todistusaineistoa siitä, että Panaman uuden hallituksen keskeiset hahmot, presidentti Endara mukaan lukien, ovat sekaantuneet huumekauppaan rahaa pesevien liikepankkien ja yhtiöiden välityksellä.
The involvement of the Panamanian economy as a whole in drug trafficking, arms running, various questionable banking practices, in fact, involve most of the Panamanian elite, involve most of the people who now run this new U.S.-approved Panamanian government.
Endara and Ford, we all know, and Panamanians know, that they are the real drug traffickers. They have been, because Panama have had an history of the oligarchy being involved in drug trafficking.
Jo vuosien ajan ennen valtausta ja sen aikana Yhdysvaltain hallitus ja suurimmat tiedotusvälineet kuvasivat Noriegan Amerikan vihatuimmaksi ja katalimmaksi viholliseksi.
General Noriega became a mythic figure. There was an attempt to personify in Noriega all that was evil. It was very interesting that when General Noriega, when his office was captured, we discovered the red pajamas, the voodoo equipment, and the alleged cocaine that he was using, and the pornographic pictures in his desk. Now, I happened to have been in Chile with the United Nations at the time of the overthrow of President Allende. And it's interesting that that same desk appeared in Chile with the pornographic pictures, the red pajamas, and the cocaine.
The whole propaganda against him was to build up a pretext in order to invade Panama and to say we invaded Panama because of Noriega. I don't know how Americans can be so stupid to believe this. I mean, how can you be so stupid? Like, for example, at one time, they had Noriega at gunpoint. They could have taken Noriega then, but the Americans didn't want Noriega. What they really wanted is to destroy the Panamanian army in order to do with the treaties what they wanted, which is what's happening now.
Vaikka Yhdysvaltain hallitus ei maininnut yhtenä valtauksen tavoitteista Panaman puolustusvoimien kukistamista, amerikkalaiset upseerit ovat sittemmin myöntäneet, että PDF:n tuhoaminen oli koko operaation keskeinen osa.
It was not only Mr. Noriega, but his accomplices and underlings who stood for a reprehensible government at the time, and therefore you had to take down not only Mr. Noriega, but take down the elements of his supporting entity in order to reduce the PDF to nothing.
One of the objectives of an invasion, main objective, was to destroy the PDF. Why? The treaty, the Panama Canal Treaty, it stated clearly that the year 2000, Panama will be responsible for the security, the safety of the canal. To be responsible for the safety of a nation, you need to have an army. The elimination, the liquidation of the PDF means the extension, the continuity of the United States present as the only military force in our nation, which historically is the United States position.
Lo que ellos realmente están buscando es quedarse en Panamá después del año 2000. Eso es lo que ellos han logrado. Para destruir la Fuerza de Defensa como tal lo hicieron. Imponer un gobierno dócil a sus intereses y luego entonces hacer de Panamá el centro de control de toda América Latina.
The invasion sets the stage for the wars of the 21st century in South America. The 2,000-mile invasion from Washington to Panama City took place primarily with bases from the United States. The essential value of the Southern Command is to give another 2,000 miles of intervention capability, which takes us right into the heart of the Andean coca-producing region, where the wars of the next decade are entirely likely to take place.
Panama is another example of destroying a country to save it. And it's another case of how the United States has exercised a might makes right doctrine among the smaller countries of the Third World. It has long been U.S. practice to invade these countries, get what we want, and leave the people that live there to kind of rot.
Se nos dañó el país, se nos dañó nuestros hogares y no hemos tenido respuesta concreta. Entonces, ¿qué nos queda? Tirarnos a la calle. Si no perdimos la vida en la guerra, vamos a perder peleando nuestros derechos.
George Bush, que ojalá a sus hijos no le pase lo que le está pasando a mi hija, que no desea vivir. Que ojalá su generación no pase la que va a pasar la generación de nosotros. Que le pida eso a Dios y que le pida mucho perdón por todo el daño que le ocasionó a muchos familiares aquí.
1 year ago, the people of Panama lived in fear under the thumb of a dictator. Today, democracy is restored. Panama is free.
Maaliskuussa 1991 presidentti Guillermo Endara teki perustuslakiin muutosehdotuksen, joka kumoaisi Panaman oikeuden armeijaan. Myöhemmin samana vuonna Yhdysvaltain kongressi vahvisti lain Panaman kanavasopimuksen uusista neuvotteluista, joiden päämääränä oli varmistaa Yhdysvaltain sotilaallinen läsnäolo Panamassa sillä perusteella, että Panama ei enää kyennyt puolustamaan kanavaa.
gonna shut my eyes till I go down. Till I go down. Till I go down. I'm not gonna shut my eyes. I've already seen the lights on the faces of the men of war, leading people to the killing floor. Till I go down. Till I go down. Oh yeah. Till I go down. I'm not gonna shut my eyes. Oh no. Till I go down. Till I go down. Till I go down. Till I go. Until the world stops spinning. Till I go. Till I'm 6 feet under. Till I go. Till there's no. Till I go down. Till there's no. Till I go. I'm gonna swing this chain. Till I go down. Till I go. Till I go. Till the world stops. Till I go down. 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 Till I go